welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about the things I wish I had known about my second trimester. I made one of these for my first trimester. You guys seem to really like it, and so I thought I would make one for my second trimester. I am currently 32 weeks pregnant, so I'm in my third trimester now. But yeah, there are definitely some things that happened during my third trimester and my second trimester that I experienced that I thought would be really helpful to just let you guys know about, especially if you yourself are pregnant, if you're in your first trimester and you're kind of like, you don't really know what to expect out of the second trimester. And some of these things also too, like I just had never, no one had mentioned and no one had said that, oh, this is potentially something that you can experience. So yeah, hopefully you guys find this helpful. Before I jump into the list, if you aren't and you'd like to be, don't forget to subscribe. I upload mommy and lifestyle videos every Tuesday and Friday and would love for you to join our little family. And yeah, let's jump into this list. Okay, so what I wish I'd known about my second trimester. The first thing I have written down is that there were still gonna be uncomfortable times. And I wrote that down because they say like, okay, that your first trimester is gonna be brutal, and you're gonna be nauseous and tired and it's gonna be really, really hard. And your third trimester is gonna be really difficult because you're gonna be really big and exhausted. But the second trimester is a breeze. At least that's what I heard, right? Like the second trimester is gonna be perfect and just a breeze. You'll feel like your old self again. And my experience, at least, yes, I did have those weeks where I did feel like myself again. But you're not. You're pregnant. And so it doesn't matter. Like, I found that even on those days where I did, quote unquote, like feel like myself, there were still things that were a little bit off and still things that felt a little bit uncomfortable. The biggest example that's coming to mind is like when I went to work out, and yeah, I like felt mentally like myself and like was feeling really good, but I was still pregnant and I still during one of my SoulCycle classes, I pushed myself a little too far, had to leave, felt like very nauseous and dizzy, and like that was my fault because I felt like it was me. I felt like me, if that makes sense, but I was still pregnant. So I'm just putting it out there that like you might, especially those first few weeks in the second trimester, you still might not feel great. And I'm not saying that to like be a Debbie Downer or to be like, like the no end in sight sort of thing. But I just don't want anyone out there to think like, oh my gosh, because I thought like, great, like once my second trimester hits, like I'm in the clear, I'm free, I'm gonna feel amazing. And unfortunately that wasn't perfectly the case. The next thing I wanted to mention is an interesting one. Okay, so I'm gonna say whenever you pop is the right time. And what does that mean? So during the first trimester, seldom do you have a belly, right? Like you can't really tell that you're pregnant. You may feel bloated, but you don't have that like belly pop just yet. Then during your second trimester, it's like a fun game of like, okay, when am I gonna get my belly? Like when am I going to really pop? And when are people gonna notice? Well, I'm here to tell you, people are gonna notice at different times. And wow, the amount of opinions and just like, and I get it because it's like, it's such an exciting time for you as like the pregnant person, and it's so exciting for other people who have been pregnant and have had kids, and they see you and they know what you're going through and they wanna sit like, I got so many comments like, oh my gosh, like look, you popped, or you barely even look pregnant. And to be honest, it doesn't matter. Like rationally, you might think like, oh, it's kind of nice for people to say like, oh, you don't even look pregnant, but you are, and like you want to look pregnant. I don't know. It was a weird thing, and I felt uncomfortable both like on both ends of the spectrum. Like when people would say like, oh, you don't even look pregnant. Well, thanks, I guess, but I want to look pregnant. Like I have a baby in me, and like I don't know how much of a compliment that is. Like even though the intention behind it is sincere and like they're not trying to be mean or spiteful or anything like that. And then on the other side, when people are like, oh my gosh, you definitely popped. You're also like, well, thanks. Like, what is that? Like a weird backhanded way of saying that I gained weight? Like, it's just a really interesting time. And I guess that goes hand in hand with people then commenting on your bump, which I've experienced a lot of in the past month, especially with people being like, oh my gosh, when are you due? You must be due next week. And I'm like, no, I'm not due for 2 more months. And they're like, oh wow, like, you know, just, I feel like any comments like that on your body always feel a little bit weird. And again, like I take it all with a grain of salt, and I would advise you to do that as well, especially as like you progress through your second trimester, because people's intentions aren't negative or bad. It's just, it's bizarre. It's bizarre, especially when you are like, the comments are being directed at you. I also wrote down that it goes by so fast. At least for me, it really, really did. I feel like my first trimester was super exciting, obviously, like finding out you're pregnant and then like kind of experiencing, especially for the first time, I'm a first time mom, like going through everything for the first time. But the second trimester, for whatever reason, flew by, flew by. And so, yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that if you are approaching your second trimester, you're in your first, cherish the second trimester, because the third trimester, like life gets very real very quickly. I don't know, it just like sort of hits you. Once you hit that 30 weeks, it's like, wow, that's it. Like, you know, I'm gonna hit 40 weeks, I may even hit 42 weeks, but it doesn't really go beyond that. And I'm gonna have my baby. And so I would say enjoy the 20 weeks, that whole 10 weeks, because yeah, like, okay, so you do sort of feel like yourself. You might have days you feel really great. You know, you're still sort of in that like baby, I don't want to say like baby moon phase, but like, you know, it's all still really new again, especially if you're having your baby for the first time, a baby for the first time. And so just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. It goes by fast. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to mention is that the glucose test isn't that bad. So you will more than likely have your gestational diabetes test during your second trimester, although I sort of had mine like toward the border, like the very tail end of the second trimester / like very early third trimester. So it just sort of depends like on your doctor's office and like when and where you're doing it. But for the most part, sometimes like you'll have your gestational diabetes test during your second trimester, and I'm just here to tell you that it's really not that bad. The drink that they give you is not delicious. Like I would never be like, yes, please give me more. But it's really not that awful. And I was under the impression, just from like videos I'd watched and people I talked to, that the sugary drink was gonna be like out of this world. It was gonna be so hard to drink. It was gonna be so sugar. It was gonna be awful. And to be honest, and like I'm not even a big sugar drinker. Like I don't drink soda. I don't drink Gatorade. I don't drink, like I pretty well just drink water. Before I was pregnant, I drank like wine and had cocktails and stuff, but it, you know, like never, I'm not huge on any other sort of like sugary drinks, if that makes sense. And yeah, I had the little glucose drink. It was lemon lime flavored, which to me at least would be like literally the last flavor I would ever choose of any beverage. I would choose like all the other flavors before lemon lime, but it really wasn't that bad. It tasted like flat, I keep saying it tasted like flat seltzer, almost like flat seltzer meets like a Powerade or like a sports drink or something, you know? But it really wasn't that bad. And then they took my blood an hour later and it was done. And I'm so happy to report that I do not have gestational diabetes, and I did not have to go back for the 3-hour test, which I was so pleased about. But yeah, really not that bad. If you're stressing about it or you're nervous about it, don't be. The next thing I wanted to mention is about finding out the gender of your baby. So if you're saving like finding the sex out for when the baby's born, then this might not pertain to you exactly. But I wanted to speak to all the people out there who want to find out the sex of the baby and that moment. So I knew that I didn't want to have a gender reveal party, although they're so cute, and I like, oh, in my like perfect world, I'd have the like strength emotionally to do it. But I knew that I didn't want to, because I knew that my reaction was going to be like, was not going to be a reaction that was typical, if that makes sense. Like for me, at least, I'm not a super like an overtly emotional person. And this is such a huge moment, especially like if you've been dreaming about having children your whole life and like you've been envisioning a family in your head and like finding out whether you're having a girl or a boy. It's this other world, like totally surreal moment. And I knew that I wanted it to be a very personal moment between like me, my husband, and then whoever was telling us, right? And so I just wanted to tell you guys that it is a very personal experience. and there is no right reaction. And I think a lot of the times with all of like the gender reveal videos that we see and the gender reveal parties that we feel like when we hear the announcement of like what the gender is, that we have to like have these huge emotional outbursts. And if that's not your vibe and if that's not your personality, that's okay. And there's still other ways of like surprising your family and friends that keep you in control, if that makes sense. If you're like me and you always have to be in control, then these suggestions are perfect. What we did was we found out the gender, like my husband and then we surprised my parents and my brother and his family, and I don't know, it gave us a moment to digest the information. And like, I'll be honest with you, like when she said it was a boy, we were so shocked because we were totally convinced it was a girl. And I'm a girl, and like I felt like, oh my God, like what do I do with a boy? Like, I don't know, I have no idea. And so like that initial reaction of like, it's a boy, like I needed a moment to like really process that. And I feel like for me, it would have just been a lot to have so many people around me like also absorbing that information and then looking to me for like a reaction. And so I guess just like my overall tidbit would be like, do whatever you feel comfortable with. Like if you want to have a gender reveal party and that like is exciting to you, then amazing. Like go down that route because they're so cute. They're so cute. Maybe I'll have one for my second. Who knows? But if you don't, like if that's not your vibe, like don't feel bad about that, you know? Okay, the next tip, or the next thing I wish I'd known about my second trimester was potentially to have booked and planned my baby shower then. So I'm in my third trimester now, and it's like we're getting down to the wire, and I it's tricky because like I am pregnant, but like the holidays sort of fell at a weird time, and there's no right or wrong time to have a baby shower. Like you can do your baby shower whenever you want, but I wish, just from my own experience, like I wish I would have planned out the baby shower during my second trimester, like when I felt good and energized and not crazy emotional, and like we would have had plenty of time and we could have picked the date that we wanted versus being like, oh my God, I'm 32 weeks pregnant, like we have to plan this thing. Like I'm gonna give birth in the next 2 months, like if we want to have a party, we have to do it now, sort of thing. So just like saving you the headache. You're probably a lot more organized than I am and like a lot more on top of like your life than I am. But if you're not, then take my advice, do it sooner rather than later, right? Like just get it planned. That way you don't have to worry about it. And the last thing that I wish I'd known about my second trimester is that you're gonna experience some weird symptoms, but they go as quickly as they come. That's what I'm trying to say. They go as quickly as they come. So I would say like don't freak out over those weird symptoms. Like obviously consult your doctor, contact your doctor, your midwife, and just make sure that everything's like safe and good. But know that that's normal. And I had a few really weird things happen, but like the sort of like the boldest or most glaring symptom that I had that was so bizarre was I had this really weird rash behind my knees, and it was behind my knees for like a good 3 to 4 weeks. And I consulted my doctor, I showed it to her, and she was like, to be honest, she didn't really know what it was. She was like, if it really bothers you, you can go see a dermatologist. If not, then keep putting, I was putting, I think, calamine lotion on it, and just to stop it from itching. But it was really weird. It was so weird. Just like a random rash right behind my knees. I thought it was maybe a heat rash. Like my body was really expanding. It was the tail end of summer, which it totally could have been. We still have no idea what it was. But like little things like that like will come about during your second trimester. Just don't freak out about them. My advice would just be like, again, consult your doctor and take it in stride. Like your body is going through some crazy weird changes, and like you're gonna have bizarre weird things sprout up. Okay guys, so those are all the things I wish I had known about my second trimester. If you've been pregnant before and you have any other things to add to the list, please leave them down in the comments below. I would love to read them, and I'm sure anyone who is pregnant or hoping to be would also love the advice. Don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye guys!